Yo, what up, guys? It's your boy Williams Fitness back again with another video. We've got a very, very, very special guest on. We've actually got a real life hero on. And I'm just going to briefly touch on why we've got Simon Flores on. Obviously, me and Dean over the past few days have been doing quite a lot to do with mental health. And it was actually my sister that put me in touch with Simon. She'd seen this story. She reached out to me and said, look, you know, this guy is literally a hero. She was telling me loads of different things about you because I think she was following you on Instagram or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I looked into it. Obviously, I hit Simon up. Me and Dean, we spoke literally just a couple of days ago about starting a new series together. So obviously reached out to Dean and said, look, you know, let's kick this off with Simon. He's literally a hero. So from doing my research, Simon, obviously you were in the Royal Green Jackets for 6 years. Then the Rifles for a further 6 years, and
another 7 years.
Sorry,
it was 6 years, and then I signed off with the Royal Green Jackets, and then in 2006 we amalgamated and joined forces with the Light Infantry and the Devon and Dorsets, and became the Rifles. Obviously, they wanted to, you know, shorten the amount of regiments that were around, so they amalgamated us together. But we were part of the same division, the light division. You know, we used to march at 140 paces to the minute, and you know, everybody else marches like 110, 120. So we were like at a fast pace. We were always marching into battles while everybody was getting dropped in helicopters or whatever. So yeah.
And you just went to that on foot.
Say again?
Just strolled in.
Yeah, we just strolled in all the time.
That's strong. More like
it
was like we ran in basically. Yeah.
So obviously,
was
it December 15th, 2006 in Basra? You were hit by an IED.
Yeah, it was a roadside IED. We'd been out for a 6-hour mortar base plate check. Which was we go out in a vehicle and we patrol the surrounding area of our camp to check out for possible insurgents placing mortars and firing them into our camp. And obviously, you know, 6 hours into the patrol, we were coming back into camp, and they must have been waiting for us because of the equipment that we were carrying. It's like it scrambles all mobile signals to the detonators, so they can't detonate. So the equipment we had stopped that, so they were waiting with a wire. They must have been waiting for about 5 hours or something like that. And as we were coming back in, they set it off manually, and it hit us. It came in my side and went out the driver's side. It literally blew my foot off. It blew out my boot. You know, I had my foot in my hand, and you know, as my driver's there screaming because he lost just his calf muscles on his legs. So, you know, I had to try and stop the bleeding somehow because the morphine that I had wasn't working. So I had to elevate it above the heart and put it on the dashboard while keeping the driver alive and steering the vehicle as we were towed back into camp.
Jesus, that's some story there, mate. Jeez. I mean,
it's a good bedtime story for the kids to give them nightmares.
When you're elevating your leg, did you just hold your foot up in the air?
Well, no, I was actually interlocking my fingers with my toes of my foot that was blown off, and it was dead weird because it just felt like rubber.
Yeah.
Because it just literally put my stump or what was left of my leg on the dashboard because I could not put a tourniquet on to stop the bleeding because there was that much bone and flesh hanging off. So it was pretty gruesome. It's like something that you see in a butcher shop. You know, they've been hacking at a bloody leg of lamb. It's like,
I mean, obviously all the training that you've been through beforehand and everything else, I'm sure you're very mentally strong and you get prepared for these. But if you can remember back to that time, can you remember your thoughts and what you're going through? Because most people in that situation.
Well, yeah, I can. You know, when something like that happens, you automatically think, right, where's the secondary device, or is there going to be another explosion, or are we going to get ambushed? You know, they're going to come in from both sides and take us all out. So that's running through your mind. And then while I was dealing with myself, we had another 2 teams with us, which got out of their vehicles that missed the explosion completely. So they're getting out of their vehicles and surrounding the perimeter of our vehicle, and then obviously trying to get us out of the vehicle, but they couldn't because the explosion had welded the doors shut. So they had to get another armored vehicle, an armored tank, to come in and tow us back in. So about half an hour was stuck in that vehicle for.
And you was trying to stop the bleeding in that whole process, getting back.
Yeah. I don't think, if I'm looking back at it now, I don't think it bled that much. Obviously because of the explosion, and it like it like burn the wound. Have you ever seen on I think it's Universal Soldier when Jean-Claude Van Damme got shot and he uses a cigarette lighter to stop the bleeding. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
It fuses it off, doesn't it? Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a horrific story. You get back to the camp and they bandage you all up. What's the
what it was, they got us out of the vehicle, and literally when they pried the door open with a huge crowbar from one of the tanks, literally one of the guys was just stood there staring at me. So I told him, literally, I effing and cursed. I literally said, "Get out my way." So one of the guys, I was literally going to throw my foot out because I was that annoyed, because he was just he was standing there going, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
And it's like, you've never seen a horror movie before, get out my way. So they got me out the vehicle, and the first words they asked me, "Are you all right there, Flo?" And I went, "Yeah, ding dang do." And that was it. That was it. They put me on a stretcher, got me in a chopper, and took me to the field hospital. It's quite cold.
So what was going through your mind, and from the moment that you realised that your foot was just clean off, and obviously, like you say, I didn't even think of that, but obviously as a soldier, you're obviously thinking like, what else is going to come next?
Yeah.
I just thought, okay, the bomb, and then you sort of, like you say, got towed off. But like you say, there's so many other different scenarios you've got to sort of plan ahead for whilst in that situation. And you looked after, I mean, were you the driver or were you the?
No, I was the commander. I was the commander of the patrol, the vehicle, and obviously, I had to keep him alive, keep him awake, keep him conscious, and and then it was just applying his first aid as well.
Wow.
So because I knew when as soon as that happened, I knew we were going to be under contact. So that's how and also I knew that if we're under contact, then the rest of the team are going to start protecting our perimeter, getting out of their vehicle and getting in the places where they should be. So while that's happening, I can do what I've got to do inside the vehicle.
So you knew from training, you knew like everybody else has got your back. You just needed to deal with that situation that you were in with your passenger next to you. So you've seen foot,
because there's not much I can do being trapped in a vehicle. I can't actually get out. So I can't kick it with my left foot because it was in my hands. So hey, if you can't laugh.
What were you thinking? You've seen your foot. What were you thinking? Oh, can they put this back on? Like, I'm fucked now.
No, I knew it was off. I knew it was off. I thought I did actually think it was a bit of shrapnel that was in my foot, and I thought, right, this is hurting. I've got to take it out. So as I went down to pull out the shrapnel, like, shit, where's my foot? Oh, here it is. Oh, God's sake, it blew my foot off like that.
I think I'd have been crying. I'd have been a mess. That's what
it was.
Do you feel like you was in? You just got to do your job and you just got on with it.
Yeah.
And you didn't think about it until you got back.
It's obviously, like you just said, I'd be crying. It's very rarely I cry. I don't even cry at funerals, to be honest with you. There are certain things I cry at. Toy Story. I'll admit it. Well, it's very sad. But and I'm not going to cry over spilt milk. I mean, what's the point? It's not going to grow back. They're not going to be able to put it back on. So just get on with it, don't you?
So was there any point afterwards in the recovery process, did it actually sink in and you think like, what the fuck do I do now? Like, where do I go?
I said, what can I do? But then, I was in a wheelchair for about 3 months, and then I saw my upper body was starting to grow. And I thought, right, if I can push through the pain barrier of wearing a prosthetic leg, then maybe I can start working on my upper body and strength training and stuff like that. And that's when I started powerlifting and lifting weights properly. And then obviously doing my other bits, walking, getting used to a leg again. And then that was it. I got the bug of starting to lift weights. And I think the powerlifting and the strongman training, it keeps my mind occupied, because obviously if I'm not doing anything, then, you never know, with the PTSD, I could just sink into a dark hole and, stuff might happen.
So you obviously got a very strong mindset and the willpower to just keep pushing forward and doing more. Yeah. Did you have that before you went into the military, or is that something you got along through the training?
No, I've always had a strong mind. I've always had a strong mind. It was my dad brought me up, you see, and he's from South America, where they teach you how to be a man at a very young age. So, I was doing things when I was 12 years old that all other 12-year-old boys are out playing, doing whatever, while I was at home doing homework, and housework and, cooking foods at such a young age, because it was just me and my dad while he was working. Then, I'd even wash my own clothes and iron them and stuff, so I was quite strong-minded at a young age.
I have this theory, like anyone that's achieved anything great or got to a high level, a high standard at anything, has to be a little bit tapped in the head to be able to push themselves to that kind of level. And it's
all soldiers are tapped in the head.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. You find it in top athletes and all military guys, like you say, and top fighters and stuff. And it's usually something they've obviously endured or childhood or something going up. So, we was talking about it before, weren't we? Well, shitty upbringings, and I'm now
it does
grateful of my shitty upbringing, because it gave me such a strong mindset to be able to do more in the future. So and
I totally agree with you there.
Obviously, like, you've had quite a hard shit from a young age, and it may necessarily been like horrible or anything, but you kind of been pushed and chucked into the deep end. Whereas kids nowadays,
they
can't cook, they can't clean, they can't do anything, can they?
Yeah, I can literally agree with you there. My nephew's 21 and he's still living at home with his mother.
So what made you want to get into the military?
It was in 2000, and I think it was not 2000. It was 1993 when my dad woke me up at stupid o'clock in the morning to tell me to come downstairs and watch the TV and the news. That's when the Gulf War started kicking off. So I thought I was sat there. It must have been about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was absolutely tired, but then I started watching it, and I thought to myself, I'd like to see what's happening on the other side of the camera, because they don't show you everything, do they?
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted. I was going to join when I was 16, but my dad, you have to have both parents' permission to join the armed forces. So my mother signed the papers, but my dad didn't. He wanted me to get a career behind me. And I said, Dad, you can get a career in the army, no, you got to do this. So he sent me to South America for 4 years. So I learned a trade over there. I was a translator, and I was like a manager in the hotel tourism industry. And then obviously I came back to England, and that was it. I signed. I said, I'm old enough now. You can't stop me. So see you later. Bye.
So just a quick one, just out of curiosity. I know we're skipping back a little bit.
Yeah.
What happened to the other guy? Obviously, you said he had his car.
Oh, he's still alive. Yeah, he was unconscious from the moment we got into the field hospital, because I was recently concerned for him, because I wanted to know if he was all right. So he was unconscious from the 10th of December until the 21st of December, and I would not leave his side until he woke up. So he's fine now. He's part of a Hell's Angels group Should have seen them all. Should have seen them all when they came in the hospital. Thought we were going to be mugged or something like that. Honestly, what's that smell?
Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, big hairy bikers coming in.
So obviously, with the healing process, is not just like obviously you had to deal with the prosthetic limb. What was was there a mental process of? Obviously, it's a massive adjustment.
Yeah, obviously it was difficult to start because you just got to get yourself used to it and figure out your trigger points and what sets off your if I ever heard a door bang or a loud bang, then I'd literally jump up and I'd start panicking. But since I kind of, like I said, I was in the hospital for 3 months. Because I didn't want to be in it anymore. I was in Selly Oak Hospital in Birmingham, and that hospital was not ready for the amount of casualties it was receiving at that time. They were so undermanned. They were just getting soldiers, literally 3 soldiers a day, coming into the hospital. A lot worse when we got deployed in Afghan, but. I just wanted out of there, so I pushed myself into walking again. I was told that I was the fastest person they've ever seen get up on 1.5 on the prosthetic leg and walk out. I just did not want to be in there anymore. And it's just seeing all your fellow colleagues, people you've served with, or maybe just other from different regiments.
Yeah.
So, you just got to, you've got to say, right, I've got to get out of here. Not that it's how I was. I just didn't want to be there anymore. I thought,
I do. Depressing state, like you say,
yeah.
Seeing everybody that you've known outside the hospital, in full health, and
Yeah, I mean, the longer you stay in the hospital, the more you're gonna start depending on other people, and that's just not me.
That's a very good way of.
Did you have a point where you was like, I've had enough? There's like a down point. What's the point of living or going on? Or was you just straight, okay, that's happened, I need to deal with it?
Yes. After the second day in the field hospital in Basra, I thought, right, let's get this show on the road. It's not going to grow back. Get a grip, and that was it.
That's the mindset.
I wish they'd have blown me. I wish they'd have blown my other leg off. At the same time, I could have been 6 foot tall now. I'm only 5'6". Honestly, it's a nightmare being 5'6", and especially when because I did the Atlas stones.
I'm 5'7", I'm only just ahead of you.
All right. Hey, we get blamed for everything, us small people. But I did the Atlas stones in the last Highland Games with what's his name, the strongman.
Yeah.
And the barrels were absolutely huge. And when I got up to the 5th stone, it was like getting it up there. And oh God, that's so high up. And I just literally had to push it up.
How did you find gripping them? Because our arms are not long enough. All these guys are 6 foot plus.
I know, it's ridiculous, aren't they? They must be sleeping in compost or something to be growing like that. It's not fair.
So, going back to obviously the healing process, mentally you were prepped. Physically was obviously a journey you needed to get. Yeah. Did you see any other people around you that were dealing with it in a different sort of way? And did you like help them along, knowing that how confident you were to do? Or
I wouldn't say there was they were dealing it in a different way. I'd say they were dealing it in a better way. Because I think it was about a week after I'd been brought into Birmingham Hospital, there was a Royal Marine who was brought into the hospital, and he had his right foot blown off. And obviously, because I'd been there longest, I started walking more, and I was allowed to go out. And I think he saw that as like a challenge, to try and push better than ourselves, because we are known to be one of the best infantry regiments in the British Army. So obviously he actually started running before I did, and I thought, that's fine. I'm not a runner. I've never been a runner in my life, and I'm not going to be either. I said that, but I did get him back for running before me though. when I was allowed actually out of the hospital, me and the ex-wife at the time, we went shopping and I bought myself a pair of trainers and I thought, could I get a discount here because I've only got 1 foot? No, I didn't get one. So I bought 2 pairs of trainers and I thought to myself, what size are you? Because he was only like 2 beds up from me. I was like, what size foot are you? 8. Oh, champion, do you want to buy a shoe? I sold him the shoe for twice the price. It was great. I was like,
that's brilliant.
yeah. So I got him back.
So, leading from that to obviously you're very well known for a lot of charity work. What sort of
I did.
What sort of triggered you to think, right, okay, I've got my situation under control, you know, I've started training, I'm you know, mentally better, physically I'm better. At what point was the first event you thought, yeah, I need to do something and give back again, even though you've already give quite literally a lot?
Well, I just thought to myself, you know, there's these charities that, you know, you've got Health for Heroes, you've got Blesma, the Limbless Military Veterans Charity, you've got Walking with the Wounded, and these charities do so much for either serving soldiers or veterans. Time to give something back to them. You know, they've done so much for us. Let's do something for them. And yeah, so, you know, I was supposed to pull a car. I don't know whether you've seen my car pull on my Instagram. I actually pulled a Land Rover up the street, just with a harness and the leg. And I was supposed to I was raising money for it until this lockdown happened, and I was going to pull the whole car up the street, but it had to get cancelled, so I was a bit gutted for that.
So what was
the first still on the cards for the future?
Sorry, Dean.
Sorry, what? Right. Say that again. Who's next?
Is the car pull still on the cards for in the future sometime?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. And you know, I was supposed to do my first strongman competition on the 2nd of April, but obviously that got cancelled as well. So, but it's going to be postponed for future, and hopefully, if I do that, then I'm going to Las Vegas to watch Eddie Hall beat the living crap out of bloody Thor. Yeah, I'm planning it already. I really want to go and watch it.
Me and Dean will be there.
Yeah, I'll see you there at the bar. No, but I was watching your comment about, you know, their skill set and what they were doing.
Yeah.
And how Thor, you know, he doesn't have that much skill, and he's big and he's slow. Because I used to box when I was a young kid as well. And Eddie Hall, yeah, if he catches him with one of them hooks, he's gonna do some serious damage. And don't get me wrong, I think, you know, I know Thor. If he hits you with that, you know, they're both. It's gonna be a slugfest, like a butterbean fight. Really.
Butterbean, bloody hell.
Yeah, but obviously with less fat.
I think the thing is, they're obviously strong. They've obviously got power, but like I said in like the full YouTube video I did, it's like, what kind of power can they take though? It's all going to well being able to throw that much power, but can you take one on the twin?
True. And they're carrying that much weight as well. They're going to get so fatigued so fast, you know.
Like you say, they're going to get.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
The problem for the rest of the year, they've got to literally make bank off this fight, because they're going to have to like step back from doing strongman, because they're going to burn body fat training for a fight. They're not going to be physically able to do one or the other. They've got to. Do you know what I mean?
I know. That's it. Now they've got to. Yeah. So. Yeah, I agree with you there.
What I wanted to touch on is DIY SOS. DIY.
Oh God,
SOS. Those of you who don't know from, you know, America, Australia, whatever, DIY SOS is a British program where, you know, there's a team of people who come in, sort of completely re-renovate an entire house, or, you know, it can be a garden downstairs. But there was a DIY.
The American version of 60-minute makeover.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So they did a veteran like sort of version of this, and obviously you took part in this, and it was your
Yeah.
and Prince Harry was involved and came to your house. Now, how did that all come about? Who reached out to you? I mean,
Help for Heroes, because
yeah,
obviously when I'd split up with the children's mother, I let her claim, I let her carry on claiming for the children, which didn't really bother me. But because I wasn't claiming, the council would not give me a bigger house for me and the children, so we had a 2-bedroom house, and it was really, really tiny, and it wasn't
they were in
adequate for
your
my
care.
needs.
Is that what you're saying?
Pardon?
So they were living with you, not with mother.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, it's like we had like a 50-50. I have them like certain day, like 4 days a week, and then she has them for the rest.
Yeah, yeah. I did the same with
Obviously, obviously the house wasn't big enough, so Health for Heroes welfare officer come round for a visit, and he must have known straight away this isn't for you. And then he said, "Listen, DIY SOS are building a street up in Manchester, and do you fancy it?" And I was hesitant at the start because I just got the kids all settled, you know. But then I thought, you know what, let's do it. You know, he's right. You know, this house isn't big enough for my needs. You know, we're gonna grow, we're gonna get bigger, and it's just gonna the house is just gonna get smaller. So it was between me and another 2 army veterans, and the producers really liked my story and what happened to me. So yeah, they offered me their house, and then within 9 days it was complete, but I couldn't move in until like 4 days after the build. So I wasn't really complaining, you know. You know, they did a fantastic job. You know, I was actually blown away the amount of volunteers that turned up just to take time out of their busy lives just to help somebody they'd never met before. You know, they definitely got a place in heaven in my opinion.
As do you, though, brother.
Thank you.
So Prince Harry.
Yes, well, he started the project at the start when they were renovating the whole street.
Yeah.
But because my house was the last house built, he wasn't here. It was a year later he came back for a visit, and the manager of Walking with the Wounded came to me and he said, "Listen, I wondered if you'd fancy meeting somebody." I said, "Who is it?" And he said, "Well, I'm not allowed to say at the moment." So I said, "Oh, go on then. What's it for?" "Oh, it's just because you've been here a year now." "Yeah, go on then." So I kind of knew who it was. So then I kept the kids off school because, you know, this is their house as well. And, you know, I wanted them to meet him. So obviously there was a knock on the door the day he arrived. So I let my daughter open the door. And when she saw who it was, she was like, "Oh," gobsmacked, honest to God. And then obviously he shook her hand, he shook the other boy's hands, and he asked if he could come in. And she said to him, "Wipe your feet first." I was like, "Oh my God, she just said that to one of the royal family." Yeah, go on, Lily, you do what you want, love. So it was all in the newspapers that an adorable 5-year-old girl would literally put Prince Harry in his place and taught him a lesson in etiquette.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Good girl.
That's incredible stuff.
It's great.
So obviously you're in what's it called, the Highland Games, but what's the the team called?
The equivalent to the Highland Games.
No, your sort of team. You've
oh yes, the Wounded Highlanders. We represent Health for Heroes here in Britain, and obviously the team's grown since 2018. In 2018 was my first contest. We actually competed against the American team, Uncle Sam's Highlanders, and they've been doing it for years. And so they introduced it to Scotland, you know, where it originated from. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. You know, I've never tossed a caber in my life. I only had like 1 day practice of tossing the caber, which I nearly broke my arm because it fell back and I had to move my arm out quickly. But then on the second day, you know, on the day of the comp, you know, I held my own. I think I came second in it. Actually, I tossed the biggest caber that was there, and you know, I was over the moon. It was great. What can I say? You know, I think I'm just a natural athlete. Either that, or just stupid.
It's all in here. There's no quitting.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So for those who don't know what the Highland Games, what sort of sporting events and things go on within the Highland Games? If you could like give a brief.
Okay. You've got tossing the caber, and that's not a horrible reference. That's actually chucking a 20-foot pole that weighs quite a bit, and you have to flip it, and you have to make sure that when you're flipping it, the end part lands in the nearest to the 12 o'clock position, and that puts you on the leading board. And then you've got the weighted toss, where you've got to like throw let's say like a kettlebell over a 10-foot bar, and then each time it gets higher and higher. You've also got the sheaf toss, which is literally a sandbag, which weighs about 20 kilos, I think, or maybe a bit less, and with a pitchfork, and you're chucking it again over the bar. And then you've got the shot put, which everybody knows what the shot put is, and you've got the hammer throw, which is like a broomstick with a cannonball on the end of it, and you literally just swing it around and just let it go. Obviously, I didn't take part in that because I had a bit of an issue with my leg. Then you've got the blur stone, which weighs about 60 kilos, maybe a bit more. It's not heavy. Well, maybe for some people it's heavy. It's just the awkwardness of grabbing it, because if you ever pick like 20 kilo plates in the gym, it's pretty easy because you can get your arms around it. This one is just so difficult because it's trying to get a grip, maintaining that grip, and it's very hard, which I did. I regretted it the day after because I was in so much pain. It was horrible. What else? And then obviously you've got the 100-meter dash and stone throws, which was great.
Okay, so which out of them are like your favourite, or do you feel like you specialise in the most?
Well, I actually do compete against a fellow amputee with the sandbag and the tossing the caber. We compete against each other. He won it 2 years on the trot, and I've always come behind him in second place. But I always beat him in the tossing of the caber. So yeah, we've got a bit of a competition going on, and I kind of wind him up every now and then when he gives me a call just to say, "Have you been training?" And he goes, "No, I've been working." "Oh, unlucky. Looks like I'm taking the title home this year then, isn't it?"
So when's the next event due then?
The next event should be in August, depending on when this lockdown is. But it has been cancelled this year, unfortunately. Okay. So the next one will be 2021.
Okay. Have you got any sort of charity events coming up this year that may still potentially go ahead?
Not at the moment. Obviously, with everything that's gone on, and you know, Warrior Games. I was hoping to do the Warrior Games again, but obviously can we? So we've got no events happening this year due to lockdown, and obviously, you know, we've got to be more careful these days now. But I am still, you know, it's been difficult. You know, I did have after lockdown happened, I had my own bench and equipment in a friend's gym.
Yeah. Here
in Manchester, just like 5 minutes down the road.
I'm in Manchester now.
Okay, it got burned to the ground. So four guys set the whole building on fire and burned the entire lot to the ground. I don't know whether you might have heard about it. It was like an old mill in Failsworth, and they burned the whole lot to the ground. The owner of the gym lost over 50 grand's worth of gear. I lost my gear, and you know, I'm not I'd rather spend my money on the kids than, spend it all on gym gear. So obviously with this lockdown, it's been very difficult to train, but thank you to Blesma, they got me some gear. Today, my bench came and 200 kilos worth of bumper plates came this morning. It was fun watching the kids carrying them through as well. So go on, you do that. Go on. Yeah, and I went down to somewhere near Birmingham last week, and I picked up a squat rack from one of our guys. He can't use it anymore. Obviously, he's having back troubles, and so he's just concentrating on his archery. So, which is really nice of him.
So when you're doing events or training or anything like that, how does the prosthetic that you've got, is it comfortable? Does it give you any issues? Or I know some guys that were doing it and they were getting horrific. It was bleeding sometimes.
Yeah,
severe pains.
I do get pains, but I ignore it, because pain's temporary, pride's forever.
Yeah, you got awesome.
And to be honest, it never bleeds. It never bleeds.
Good.
So I've just got this leg. It's this new bionic foot. It's a 70 grand leg, the one that I'm wearing. It gives you the ability to have an Achilles tendon, Achilles heel, and a calf muscle. Wow. And when you're walking in it, it sounds like Iron Man. It's great.
Awesome. So really, you're cheap menu. You got a bionic leg. It's easy for you.
I dare use it. I'm not using this for any. I don't want to break a 75. I'm not gonna. Expensive that. Women don't. When women don't like getting their hair wet or something like that because they've got like extensions in. I think this is more expensive than an extension, darling. You know what I mean? But I have got a specific leg for all my weight training and my deadlifting and stuff like that, which can hold. That leg that I've got can hold up to like 300 kilos. Oh, so wow. I was before lockdown, because I had the strongman competition, which I had to do the deadlift with the axle deadlift, the axle press. Yeah. So I was actually getting up to 200 kilos just before lockdown, and then unfortunately,
it's incredible, isn't it? Because you've got to like retrain your whole body again because of you stood on one leg.
Yeah, but I don't mind. I don't mind that. Keeps your mind busy. Keeps you focused on certain things. So then your mind's not drifting away, which I don't mind that. This is my routine. This is literally my routine was before lockdown. Wake up in the morning, have breakfast with the kids. Obviously, I was on a clean bulk, which I was eating 8 times a day. And then I'd take them to school. 9 o'clock start, and then I'd be in the gym at 9:30 until 2:45 in the afternoon. Obviously, I'd have my food with me, and then at 3 o'clock, I'd be at the school ready to pick up the kids, bring them home, cook the tea, and then just let them do whatever they want. Homework, obviously, and then let them play until it's bedtime, and then we do the same again the next day. And that's the routine I had, and now it's just all gone to pot because of this lockdown.
Yeah. Are you enjoying a little break at all, or you just want to get back at
it? I just want to get back at it. I mean, I'm determined to start bench pressing that 200 kilos after lockdown. And I'm going to start hitting it hard. Soon as my bar arrives, I'm waiting for my bloody Olympic bar. It was supposed to come today, and I was like, I stood outside when they delivered the plates. I said, "Where's my bar?" Don't know. I said, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't know? It's supposed to come today. Oh no, we don't do them. Right. All right. Well, thanks for that. I'll just lift a branch, shall I?
You'll have a note. You'll have a little note left under mat.
Yeah. So I can't go anywhere tomorrow in case it comes. So it's all right. I'll just sit and cook.
So, have you got any charities other than Help for Heroes? Obviously, we all know that's a very big charity within the UK. Is there any charities you want to shout out?
Yes, a big shout out to Walking with the Wounded. That's the charity that that I was going to do the carpool for.
Yeah.
And obviously Blesma, you know, massive shout out to them for giving me this, you know, the opportunity, getting me these weights, you know, literally they rang me and said, if you need any help, give us a shout and we'll see what we can do. And they spent over £2,000 just to get me all that stuff. You know, that's a big, you know, big shout out to them. And can I just say a big shout out to one of my teammates from the Warrior Games, Gemma. It's her birthday today. Love you lots. Thank you, darling. I'll see you soon.
Have you got any more questions, Dean?
Yeah, well, this one's a bit of a funny one. So
go on then. I like funny.
Well, funny as in it's a strange one. So,
okay.
I got a friend similar kind of position to you, ex-military guy, and he lost his leg from just above his knee or just below.
Okay.
Either way, he says that some days he still feels horrific pain in his foot.
Yeah,
no longer
that's
there.
That's the phantom pain syndrome.
Yeah,
we all get it. So
I'm just going to ask you that.
Yeah, I still get it. I mean, it's because they didn't cut the nerves off from the foot. They just put him, it at the end of the stump, and it's weird. You know, certain people have certain ways to get rid of it. Mine was just to jump in a scorching hot bath that even a lobster wouldn't even get in.
Oh,
you know, even it's been that painful sometimes. It's woken me up like 3 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, I'd put my leg on, I'd walk around a bit just to try and get the blood flow going. No, that doesn't work. So I'd jump in a hot bath, and then, you know, that's me wide awake for the rest of the day. But some people actually place a mirror between their legs, and they see the reflection of their other leg, their good leg, and then they start wiggling it.
Yeah.
And they're looking at the reflection in the mirror, thinking that it's their foot that's been blown off. Yeah. So that they sending signals to the brain saying the foot's there, pins and needles will go, and it works. Yeah,
I've seen that being done as well. And there's a silly trick that I was doing as well with the mirror, and then they had a fake hand. And then when you got used to, like, it was blocked off, you couldn't see your real hand, but you're looking at this fake hand, basically.
Yeah.
Every time he touches the fake hand, they stroke your real hand, so you feel it.
Yeah.
And then when you get used to it, they pull out a hammer and go, and they shit themselves. They go to feel it. It's horrible stuff. It's crazy how the mind works, though, isn't it? It's not even there anymore, but you're still feeling it because
it is. Yeah, it is.
It's real.
Well, one time when I was in the hospital, it was over the Christmas period, and I think it was like a couple of days before Christmas. Oh no, it was a couple of days after Christmas. Sorry, I started getting phantom pain, so I got a Christmas stocking and stuffed it with newspaper, and I put it at the end, and I started scratching it, and the phantom pain went. It was well weird. It was great. I'm scratching a stuffed sock, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's great.
Oh God, that's good. Another one as well, where the nerve goes down. Did they operate and sort that? Because the friend of mine, he was having problems with that as well. Apparently, the nerve at the stump can kind of grow like roots out.
I'm actually lucky. You know, I'm actually lucky how well I healed. You know, I've seen some people's stumps; they're not a pretty sight. Obviously, there is a way to get rid of the phantom pain. Is get rid of the nerves. I mean, and you know, I had a doctor say to me, "Why don't we just get rid of the nerves for you so you don't get the phantom pain?" And I said, "No, I'd rather keep them." He goes, "But why? If they're bothering you so much?" Well, if I go under the knife again, I'm going to be going backwards instead of forwards.
Another 6 months you can't train, isn't it?
Yeah. So no, thank you. I'd rather keep that. I'd rather keep me. You know, I've lost enough. I don't want to lose any more. Thanks very much for that. But you know what I mean. Do one.
Well, Simon, honestly, this has been like so enlightening, because obviously we see stories like yours on a newspaper, or on an article online, and it's so short and so small, and it's to the point, and it's not until you actually like speak to someone like yourself, and you've got all this banter about it, and how positively mentally you've been focused on something so that could literally crumble most of us. It would. I've been as humble as I can. I'd have been an absolute mess if that had happened to me. And I think that just shows not just the strength for yourself. I think that shows the strength for our armed forces, all of them, when these things happen. And it's hard sometimes for people to sort of digest this information and actually take something away from it. And I think a lot of the times, it's nice to see these stories, but I think they can be so quickly dismissed at the turn of a page.
It is, yeah. I think people who are going through bad times, who are similar injuries at me, I think they've lost. They don't know what they've got. They've still got their lives. They've got to look on the brighter side. They might have lost a limb, but they're still here. At the end of the day, and they've still got people around them that love them. So don't if you need help or anything like that, if you need someone to talk to, all those who are watching, if you need someone to talk to, look for me on my Instagram. I'm sure you'll find the link on William Fitness's wall. Feel free to get in touch if you need someone to talk to. I'll be more than happy to have a chat with you and keep you on the path of righteousness.
You're a massive inspiration.
Thank you very much.
It's like you're saying, what you focus on is what you feel in it, and
yeah,
so many people. I mean, we're so ungrateful sometimes, and there's people in your position with such a positive outlook on life, smashing life, doing things that people couldn't do.
I think it's because people in my situation, or have realised, how precious our lives are because we've been so close to death. And you just want to embrace it and just love it now. So yeah.
Do you think when you went through that whole process and that procedure, did it make you think about your life in a completely different way? It
did. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Or anything like that? Did you become more spiritual, or just appreciate more about life?
It just made me appreciate life better, because, people take life for granted. And then when it's gone, it's too late.
Yeah. You're an absolute massive inspiration to myself.
Thank you very much.
Anybody listening and watching this, we need more people like you. It's incredible.
100%.
Thank you very much, guys. I've had a great chat.
So, Simon, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link the charities below. So if you can just DM me the links, we'll put them all below. I'll link your Instagram, so if people do want to reach out to you, follow the rest.
Okay.
Because obviously, you're still competing, you're still doing a hell of a lot of charity work, and you're loving it. You've got passion for it. Honestly, can't thank you enough. Obviously, these sort of interviews, I don't normally do, and like I said at the beginning, my sister reached out to me because she'd seen me. So obviously, shout out to my sister for that. But I think me and Dean have decided to take. Dean's come on my channel now, and we're going to have our own little series. And I think this is sort of the direction we want to take it in, and get real world people on with real stories that hold, absolute value, and people can take something away from it. It's not just some bodybuilder telling, what diet he was on and this, that, and the other.
It's boring. We've heard it all.
I know, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think bodybuilders got to be one of the hardest sports. It's like what Arnold said in that Pumping Iron. It's like their body is an art. Their body is a painting. Unlike a proper painter where they just slap on some paint, but with the bodybuilder, it's the hardest part because they have to literally work out and do it. He's a big inspiration for me, Arnie, as well. I like watching his Snapchat, or what is it, his Instagram with his donkeys.
Yeah. He's riding around the garden.
I know, yeah. Oh my God. Mr. Olympia playing with his donkey.
Tossing his caber.
Yeah, give him a caber. Let's see what he can do with that.
Again, from me personally, Simon, thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me on your show.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Incredible having you, mate.
Yeah.
Just,
oh, great. Well, keep in touch, and we'll see what my, after this lockdown, let's see what I've got planned for 2021.
Yeah, I'm sure we can all meet up at some point and do something together as well. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so is this actually live now, or does it go on your channel later?
This is recorded, so I will edit it, and then what I'll do, I'll send you a date and a time with a link, and then I'm going to premiere this one, which means we can have a bit of a build up to it, because it's this is the first instalment of mine and Dean's series together. So I want it to have a big build up, and it's the greatest interview we could have done for the first one. I couldn't
not a problem
to kick it off with. Honestly, couldn't.
Thank you for having me.
Really humbled to hear your story, Simon.
It's nice to share it.
I love any inspirational stories. It just really humbles us. And when we moan about shit going on in life, it gives you a big slap around the face and says, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
you're there in this position and you're still smiling and.
I did have a job as a canvasser. I don't know if a canvasser is like, they knock on the doors and ask people to join charities. Now, I was walking 5 hours a night around Manchester area, the greater Manchester area, and that was like 5 nights a week. And one guy actually rang up one day, says, "I've got a bit of a cough, I've got a sore eye." So I got the phone, I said, "Listen, I've got one leg, get in here now, sod off."
Fucking excuse.
Honest to God.
Yes. They need it.
Yeah.
Many of us do at times. We all fucking bitch about it, don't we? And have a little cry.
Thanks very much, guys. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, brother.
You take care.